Hey, this is Trevor Crow, Trevor and Friends, and we're back on a beautiful, beautiful Wednesday morning in September. Can you believe that? Oh my goodness. Sitting with me today in the studio is Laura Kostin. She's a Board of Education member, and she is running again. This would be her second term. She has now served 4 years. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you so much for having me, Trevor.
We are delighted to have you on the not the phone, actually, you're in person here, which is even better. But let's start with, what does the Board of Education actually do?
Good question. Not everybody has a great understanding. So the Board of Education oversees our schools. We have some primary functions. Oh, thank you. Number one, we hire the superintendent and evaluate the superintendent. We create and approve budgets. We approve policies that guide the district. We are listeners to the community. We are good board members, attend all meetings and all committee meetings that they're assigned to, and we are typically assigned to multiple committees, which keeps us very busy. And, we are not micromanagers of the district. We have one employee, and that's the superintendent.
Just the superintendent. So none of you people are paid, right?
No. No. Free labor.
You are public servants here, helping our
volunteers.
kids out and really aiming to make our school district one of the best in the state, which actually makes us one of the best in the country, by the way. So that's a lot of work, and we really appreciate the hard work you do.
I would say, for anybody who doesn't know, Greenwich has received an A+ from Niche. They do rate a lot of school districts, particularly they rate them in Connecticut, which is, where we are. And we're thrilled that we're getting recognized for excellence in education.
Amazing. We got an A+ here in Greenwich. It doesn't surprise me because I know how hard you work. I know how hard the Board of Education works. And I also know there's a lot of kind of drama, let's be honest, about what's happening right now on the Board of Ed. And it really stemmed from a very surprise cut in the Board of Education budget that was implemented by the Board of Estimate and Taxation, and it was not received well by many people. How did you guys cope with that?
So, unfortunately, so let's start from the beginning. The Board of Education passed our budget 7-1. We're an 8-member board, so nearly unanimously. We felt it was a need-based budget. It was created to meet the needs of the district, not an arbitrary guideline, which is often what we get from the BET. And they felt that we had not done enough due diligence to reduce cost. So we were required to cut, and we had to change our bus routes, which were previously optimized and meant to provide a later start time at the high school, as we have been for, years now. So the busing situation and the now earlier start time has been has not been well received by parents in the community, because not only does the high school start earlier now, but the elementary schools are also starting later, and that has created some heartburn for working parents.
Yeah, that's really, really hard. Okay, so I believe the start time question started maybe 7 or 8 years ago, possibly. There was a lot of conversation. It was after quite a bit of research that proved that high school students, of course, need a lot more sleep, right? And so due to this budget cut, now we're throwing these young people who have a lot of anxiety and depression, let's be honest, to earlier start time, so they're not getting enough sleep. So it's a little harder to learn. I'm a little worried about that.
So, we tried to find a middle ground. 20% more of the students that were surveyed preferred a 7:45 start time to 7:30, not surprisingly. And we felt a 7:45 start time was the difference between, or that's a bus arrival time. The first bell is not till 8. So we thought it was a middle ground, and it was one that allowed children to be on the bus stop when the skies were getting a little brighter rather than in complete darkness.
That's right. You forget. Oh my gosh. All right. So Laura, I want to walk you back a little bit because you've been involved in the school systems for many years.
Yes.
So talk to me about all of your experience.
So I have 2 GHS graduates who are now in college, but I also have 2 younger ones still in the school. And, that's a long time to be involved in the schools. So I started as a room parent, a volunteer in the classroom, helping with math games and helping teachers organize their folders. And it was a small role, but, we sort of in the PTA have a view that no role is too small if it helps, right? Mm-hmm. So many hands make light work, as they say. So I was in multiple classrooms. Well, my older kids were in elementary. When I had younger ones, again, I started again as a room parent, then I joined the PTA, then I was elected to the PTA Board. Mm-hmm. I also served 2 terms on the RTM.
Okay.
On the Budget Committee. And professionally, I've been in television for 20 years. Wow. It's a long time to be a TV producer.
That is amazing. I actually didn't know that. You just surprised me. I love that.
Well, I say the board is diverse, right? We all come to the board with different skill sets, and we've had lawyers, we've had educators, we've had a uranium trader serve on the board. So our board is as diverse as the community that elects us, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty fabulous. Now, again, anybody who's tuning in right now, I am here in the studio with Laura Kostin. She is a Board of Education member. She is up for re-election. You can find her on where on the ballot?
I am on row A on the ballot. I'm a Democrat, and there will be 3 of us on the Board of Education ballot. So hopefully this is one way to differentiate ourselves. We want to answer any questions you have, and I think the questions you've been asking are ones that are pretty representative of the community at large.
I'm most concerned about. Actually, that is a good question. So if somebody does have a question for you directly, Laura, how do they get in touch with you?
My email is very easy. My personal email, if it's a question about my candidacy, is lkostin@yahoo.com.
lkostin@yahoo.com.
Yes.
Good.
But if it's a board official question, my Board of Education email is on the Board of Education website. So you can easily find me, because it's a long email, Laura_Kostin@greenwich.k12.ct.us.
Okay, got it. All right.
Or maybe you don't.
That's okay. But people can find you on the Board of Education website, or they can email you personally regarding your candidacy. So there's a lot of ways to get in touch with you. And there's a lot of parents right now whose children are now, 2 or 3 days into the school year. Is that correct?
That's 2 years. Yep.
2 or 3 days.
Well, 2 to 3 days. The
2 to 3.
6th and 9th graders started on Thursday. The rest of the school started Friday, and then again today.
It's incredible. It's incredible. I just can't believe how quickly the summer went by. All right, so Laura showed up, and right in front of me is like a very large book of...
That's our budget book.
The budget book. So can you walk me through a couple maybe top line features here? Because, again, I want people to remember we are living in a district with an A+ rating in the state of Connecticut. And by the way, the state of Connecticut has one of the best school systems in the country. So we have sitting with us a person who has really dedicated years and years and hours of her life to make sure that our kids receive the education the best that they can get. So talk to me about a little bit of this.
Well, so I've opened the page so you can see
yes,
the words at the top.
Operating revenue.
So most people don't know that we do create revenue for the town. And you mentioned our $4 million cut. Now, can you see how much we've returned to the town in revenue.
That is rather amazing because it's exactly, or just a little over $4 million. So, how is it, Laura, that the town actually makes money on its education process?
So most people do not realize that everything that the board raises from particularly our preschool tuition is returned to the town. It doesn't offset our actual operations. It goes to the BET.
Interesting.
And the general fund. So, and any funds left over are also returned to the town at the end of the year. There is a new law that allows us to retain some budgeted funds, but we try to be good stewards and always return funds to the town.
That's actually really interesting, cool information. So anybody listening, the Board of Ed actually, or the school itself, delivers some cash to the town. Okay, so I'm going to walk back on this cut again. I know that our superintendent proposed a budget. It was bipartisan passed. It went to the BET, and the BET cut out $4 million. And from what I hear, so you can educate me a little better, is a lot of those expenses that we were paying for that went higher was because of staff healthcare and increase in where we agreed with the union of pay for our teachers. So does this mean we have to cut teachers?
So it wasn't just that. Greenwich became more affluent in the last couple of years, and that was reflected in reduced federal funding.
Oh,
okay. So that was one of the bugaboos, I would say, with the town. I don't think they were particularly forgiving about that notion. We did want to see some new investments in education for the students. And it's really hard to create new initiatives that benefit anybody if you're, underfunded.
Yes.
Is what I would say.
Yes.
And the whole process, just so you know, is about to begin again.
Okay.
We have a series of meetings, budget committee meetings, and a retreat later this week. So the whole process begins again.
So, okay.
It begins now.
Kind of just to, again, ask the question, did we have to cut any teaching staff? Are there more kids per classroom due to this cut?
So we tried to keep the cuts away from the classroom. We, like I said, $1.9 million was start times. We tried to reduce things that were not classroom facing, like media assistants bore the brunt. I think there was, a Greenwich Time article about that.
Can you tell me more about media assistants? What does that mean?
So the media center is essentially what we used to call the library. And all those media assistants help kids find their, we call them just right books.
Okay.
And they really work with the students on organization, literacy, research skills, all those things. CMS lost 2 instructors. We've seen some class size increases there, which is unfortunate. And anytime you reduce staff, we also reduced executive assistants and admins. It's sort of a new entity in and of itself. I can't imagine a media center without some of the media assistants who've worked with my kids over the years. We really value their jobs, and it's pretty awful. So, losing staff is hard, and it has been, I would say, kind of an emotional process, because a lot of those employees were rallying outside of our meetings, and we do value them. So it was a hard period of time. I would say that I would try, if at all possible, in the next budget cycle to undo some of the damage
Yes.
that we've seen in our operating budget. So I do hope that going forward in the next budget year, we can
reinstate maybe some of those staff.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about what's important today is we do need to help our kids learn how to research. They need to be able to look at what they're seeing on the internet, and people need to teach them how to ask critical thinking questions, and that they know where they're getting their information from. So I'm really sorry to hear that staff has been cut back, because that's important. Learning process.
Yes, as they get older and they're going to be doing more research papers, and eventually they go into the world and into college.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very strange. We never had AI.
Right. I was about to say,
we were lucky if we got Cliff Notes. And I don't think anybody knows what Cliff Notes are
they're called
anymore.
Spark Note, or maybe there's a different. Maybe they're just. It's on AI. You can see. It's so crazy. So, anybody tuning in right now? I am Trevor Crow. The show is Trevor and Friends. I am with Laura Kostin. She is a Board of Education member, but also she's a candidate. She's running for Board of Ed. If you want to vote for her, she's going to be on the ballot on row A. She's a Democrat. And we're kind of breaking down a little bit of that cut that occurred that has been pretty upsetting. Can you tell me what some of the parents are saying to you now?
Oh gosh, we have had so many parents that are concerned, and we have received I don't know how many emails over the weeks and months, but the parents are critically aware of what's occurred, and the BET is one of the town bodies that is also up for re-election
Okay.
this year.
Good point. What's your point?
Since you guided me here, the Finance Board
Uh-huh.
On the Republican side is about to have a primary.
Okay.
And so it is only for Republican voters, but Republican voters out there, please look at the League of Women Voters Guide and decide accordingly. And I think a lot of parents who are registered Republicans are really doing their research. I've had
Good.
neighbors contact me, friends contact me, asking me how to vote, because they don't understand. It's not very often we have a primary.
Right. That's incredible. I
And-
think there's 3 slates for the Republicans. Is that correct, for the Board of Estimate and Taxation?
Yeah, so there's
It's
the
very
one
confusing.
that was endorsed, and then there's 2 other slates that have emerged through the petition process. So the League of Women Voters Guide sends out a questionnaire to all candidates, and I believe they did ask the Republican primary candidates about this cut and whether they would have agreed with it or not.
Interesting.
So please, I beg everybody to look at that guide.
Yep.
It's free, it's online, and to decide accordingly.
That's a very, very good piece of advice. Anybody listening, if you're Republican, you're registered Republican in the town of Greenwich, you can vote. I believe it is the 4th or 9th of September.
The 9th is the actual primary voting date, but there is early voting.
Early voting, that's right. That's one thing in the 4th. So you can start voting in a couple days. That is for the Board of Estimate and Taxation. The Republicans have set out 3 different slates.
But you don't have to vote by slate. You're voting by individual.
Oh, interesting. I did not know
And
that.
that is very important.
Yes.
So
really read up about each of these candidates, because there are some people with a great deal of experience, very intelligent people. I personally know a couple of them. So just make sure you know who you're voting for and what their experience is. And there are some Wall Streeters on there who really understand a lot of budgeting process, a lot of municipal bonding, et cetera, et cetera.
well, on the Democrat side, I got to tell you, we are so lucky.
Oh
We
my
have
God.
a really wonderful and dynamic team. I'm excited for them. I think
Yes.
they come to this with so much experience, so much wisdom, and they're great stewards.
Yes, and that's the most important thing. Actually, next week we do have Elliot Alchek and David Weisbrod appearing on the
Awesome.
show, which is really great. So we'll really dig into some of the weeds on the Board of Estimate and Taxation. But I believe between the two of them, they have probably close to 100 years of experience on Wall Street or somewhere in the neighborhood. I mean, these are people who have just spent years and years learning and growing towns and counties and bonding, et cetera, et cetera. So I look forward to that conversation. But to kind of come back around, so Laura, what do you personally bring to this job, and why do you want to continue with it?
Well, I mean, I certainly love the work. It is a lot of work. One of the most time-intensive parts of being a board member is, doing your research. We're given a lot of it, but one of the happiest things that I've been involved with is the Central Middle School Building Committee.
Oh.
And, one of the things that I think I do well is collaboration across viewpoints, across parties. But the Central Middle School Building Committee is a group of volunteers who raised their hand in our time of need to build a school for the children who needed it. I'm thrilled to be a part of that project. It is progressing. If you've not driven by the CMS field, please do see all the work that's going on there to get the school online on time and on budget. And we just did our topping off ceremony. The last steel beam was put in place. And you can see the gym is taking shape. The classrooms are getting mapped out. It's really exciting to see. So that's one of the things that I am really most proud of.
Really, really cool. We're going to wrap it up in just a minute or so. I am Trevor Crow. The show is Trevor and Friends. I've been discussing Laura Kostin and her candidacy, but also her long experience involved with the Board of Education and with the school system itself, because you've not only had two children who have now graduated from Greenwich High School, but also two more in the system itself. And thank you. Your service has been a long time, and it's clear that you're very passionate. And I agree with you. It's so exciting that we're going to have a brand new Central Middle School for our young children, because we need to keep up with other towns in Connecticut, and especially Fairfield County. We've been lagging a little bit in our plants, so to speak, in our buildings. They haven't been ADA compliant. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we needed to really invest in. So thank you.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah, we are getting there. It's totally true. So one last, how do people find you?
Well, I have a candidate Facebook page, and it's, just my name, Laura Kostin, candidate for the Board of Education. You can email me, lkostin@yahoo.com, and if it is an official business question, just go to the Board of Ed website and you'll find me there.
Okay. All right. So we have 2 more minutes left. And I just my last question for you is what's been your favorite part of the job? I know you've loved building Central Middle School, but for you, for your passion, for your heart, what's the overall theme here?
Well, so one of the committees I'm also assigned to is I'm the board liaison to PTA Council. So PTA Council is sort of an umbrella organization. All of the PTA presidents have representation on PTA Council, and there are various committees. And I really like attending their meetings and answering their questions. It's a role that was sort of reformatted to allow Dr. Jones and I to be present and answer questions from PTA members.
Wow.
The other committee that I really love is the Distinguished Teacher Committee.
Oh, cool.
And it is made up of community members and educators. And so it's a real gift to be able to look at the work of our most outstanding educators and what makes it an amazing educator.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you, Laura, for being on the show with us. This is Trevor Crow, Trevor and Friends, WGCH 1490 AM, also WGCH.com. We'll talk to you next week. Have a good week, everybody.